and welcome to the Sober Freedom Podcast. I'm Christal.
And I'm Lisa.
And we're here to share our experiences of going alcohol-free and the freedom that it brings in the hope that it might inspire and support you in your journey.
Hello and welcome to episode 2 of Sober Freedom Podcast. I'm Lisa.
And I'm Christal.
And one of the topics we wanted to speak about today was our motivations in starting this podcast. I know for me personally, one of my motivations is to try and dispel any stigmas around trying to live an alcohol-free life, the life experiences building up to that, and hopefully to share some support for people who are looking to navigate a sober life or alcohol-free life.
Yeah, definitely. I think, obviously, I know you're further into, you've been sober for sort of 7 years now, and I think things have probably changed. I'm 8 months sober, and one thing that's really, really helped me is seeing like these other podcasts, other Instagram accounts, and people talking about it so much more. So I felt like in quite a confident place to not have some of that shame around me.
Yeah.
But I know that when I speak about going alcohol free, like people sort of react as if there should be some shame. So I think it's really important to sort of give people that support.
Yeah, I think now there's probably more support or more awareness rather than there ever has been around living a sober life. When I first became sober, it was like I just strangled someone's cat in front of them. It was like really offended. What? Why? It's like, why would you want to do that? And if you yourself have got a lot of shame around why you want to stop drinking, the last thing you want to do is be vulnerable when people are being judgmental at the same time.
Yeah.
So when I started or stopped drinking, there was, I don't think Instagram was invented. The world was in black and white. So there was the only resources were books, AA, other people who had stopped drinking or other people who had really bad alcohol problems, because you either knew about it or you didn't know about it. You suspected some people, like, oh, there goes Mary again down the street, and like, I think she's had a few sherries before. Do you know what I mean? So it's either looked at like that, or you're either Dave, who's plastered all the time, and you were kind of put into a box. There was no kind of conversations about it because you either had an alcohol problem or you were cool.
Yeah, it was very black and white, wasn't it?
Very black and white.
And I think there's still that sort of perspective out there, isn't there? Like just this morning I was speaking with my dad about doing this, and I was saying like, I was sort of describing myself as sober, and he was very much like, oh, well, sober sort of implies you were an alcoholic. And I'm like, well, no, it's not that black and white anymore. Like I really challenge that.
Yeah.
And after a bit of discussion, it's like, oh yeah, I sort of see what you mean. Yes, it's sort of how you feel, isn't it? But yeah, I think lots of people are still dealing, we're dealing with other people who might have different perspectives or might still see it really black and white. So it's nice to be able to sort of offer different perspectives and a sort of place of support.
Definitely. And I think because even now there's not that much, in my opinion anyway, there's not that much support around the idea of sobriety, because there's so many negative connotations to it. It's a motivation for doing this podcast is for people who are either curious or maybe potentially think, oh, I've got a bit of an issue around that, but if I seek help, then that's it. They're going to send me to the clinic. Like I'm an alcoholic.
Labeling that problem.
You don't have to be. You can be a full-on alcoholic, but you don't have to be an alcoholic to have a problem or an issue with alcohol. And that is as black and white as it is, and I think one of my hopes is to dispel that kind of black and white approach. It's not binary, it's a continuum.
Yeah. And I think there's so many different motivations that people might might want to stop drinking. It might, it could be, you know, like for us, we were saying like it's quite, for me, problematic. But other people might just want to feel good.
Yeah.
Or I know like some friends, like in the 40s, like I hear people saying like, it's not making me feel good. Because obviously a lot of women have got all of those hormonal, you know, changes going on, and alcohol just like compounds that problem.
Yeah,
so
and that's something that's never spoken about.
Yeah. There's so many motivators, and I think, just to help people see that there is another way and we don't have to drink like all the time.
Yeah, and I think as well, personally for me, with having the gym and seeing a lot of women and a lot of men come in, once you get to around 30, 35, if you don't look after your health, you're a ticking time bomb. And I know that sounds extreme, but it can be as simple as I look on Facebook now, and there's people who I like went to school with, so we're of a similar age, and they look and they feel and they act as if they're around 60, because their health is of someone who is that age, because their patterns have never changed. Their patterns of behaviour have never changed as they've got older rather. So when I became 40, it was like someone flipped a switch, like everything started to ache, and I was like, is this a joke? Is this some type of joke? Like, it was as immediate as that. So I knew straight away, but because I'm in this industry, I thought to myself, right, I need to act upon this now.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, 6 months down the line, this little ache is going to be, I need to take these supplements, or I can't sit on that side like
so
that.
You were already fit though in your 40s, right?
Yeah.
Or you were already doing your gym and coaching and the PT.
Yeah. So already, so I'm 46 now, but I can remember as clear as day when I became 40, it was a definite like shift, and I thought, if I don't future-proof myself now, I'm in for a rough ride, because what I've got, if I'm lucky, I've got another 35 years. So do I want to live those? Well, you know, obviously people want to live as long as possible, but if you're living and you're just existing with all these ailments, it's not a good existence.
And throw a hangover in there every couple of days as well. Yeah. And I know. I'm 43, so I think I must have joined your gym like just after turning 40. So 40 was okay, but then I would say like 41, like I started to feel those things, and just became really more aware that, like you say, I wanted to future-proof, and with 2 young kids as well, in a way, like they inspired me to get fitter. They're doing all their sports. I've never been, as you know, as I announced, I hate all sporting activities when we first met. But they sort of inspired me to want to get healthier.
Yeah.
And like being with you guys at the gym is just, it has really transformed my life.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I mean, I'm glad you feel that, and I'm glad you've taken that from it, because that's one of our aspirations, and one of the pillars of our gym is people, community, making sure people feel part of a community, feel welcome, feel empowered to make decisions about their health and take agency over their own fitness and their own health, whether that's mental, physical, emotional, whatever point you're at. But I definitely think being in a community of like-minded people, or even, because there's probably, I don't know, 80% of the gym that do drink, but they're equally as supportive of the people who don't.
Yeah.
And they help to foster an environment where that's cool.
Yeah. Because we had a social gathering, didn't we, with the gym recently? And I remember like last year when I came to the do, I was really like anxious beforehand, because I was drinking, thinking, oh, am I going to drink? I knew I was going to drink, but I was like, I don't want to drink too much. I don't want to make a show of myself. I don't want to go crazy. So like last year I was like, right, there came an opportunity, like a down point. Obviously I knew there were non-drinkers there.
Yeah.
But there was like that moment where it's like, well, I could go crazy now, or there's just like a down point where I wasn't really speaking to anyone. I was like, or I could just leave. So I was like, I'll just leave now, just to keep myself sort of safe, because I really didn't want to like embarrass myself, especially in front of that group of people. But this year, when I went, I knew I wasn't going to drink, and I felt so much happier and like calmer about going out, because that just wasn't a factor. It was like, I know I can go. I know there will be other people not drinking. Obviously, that's always helpful. But yeah, there was none of that like anxiety, like what if I get leathered? Yeah. What if I say something I don't mean?
That's really interesting from that perspective, because that was quite empowering for you, and you didn't feel that anxiety. But what I've found, and I still find now, is that I'll get anxiety, but not about not drinking. It'll be the social anxiety. There's nothing to take the edge off. And the last thing I would want to do is drink. That thought doesn't even cross my mind. But I get to a point during the night where everyone's getting a bit wavy, and in the flow, and I'm just not on that wavelength. So it actually stops becoming enjoyable for me. So for me to stay in those situations and in those environments, not at all do I feel tempted to drink, not at all, but I do feel a bit anxious, a bit awkward, because I'm just like, oh, this isn't.
So that's like really towards the end of the night as things start to carry on. Yeah. And what would you do at that point?
So for me now, I'm quite happy to backdoor it.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, yep, I'm off, and everyone's like, where are you going for? Where are you going? I'm like, you won't even remember this conversation tomorrow, so I'm going.
Yeah, and I think like you don't even. I mean, I suppose it's a bit different for you in the gym situations, because obviously you're part of the gym. But like in other situations, I think if you want to backdoor it, like you don't need to say anything to anyone. They're not even going to remember.
Exactly.
Say they're not. And you could always just text them when you've gone, couldn't you? And say, like, I've gone. But yeah, there was a point, at the recent do where I was like, that's my cue, I'm going now. But that was, that was great.
It's so good that you feel not only like empowered in that situation, but excited about going out.
And not being.
Yeah.
But I think I suppose it's like we're saying, like finding those areas that you can find that support, isn't it? To give you that confidence. And like when I joined the gym, like not drinking was not on my radar. Like it just wasn't. And then obviously being around different people and that mindset shift and starting to sort of believe in myself more and feel good about myself and getting that confidence, it sort of really helps with that decision.
So you've got the gym as a support for not drinking. Yeah. What other agencies as such, or what other areas have you found support from?
You know what? I mean, for me, what was really helpful, like in the end, like it was my partner who actually, like, he basically asked me to stop drinking. It had got to a point where it was really damaging the relationship, because I was sort of going out a lot. He'd pretty much stopped drinking anyway, like probably about a year ahead of me. So I feel like he was sort of trying to lead the way. Yeah. But without putting any pressure on me, he just made that decision. And like initially I was like, no, I'm not going to stop. Yeah. I'm going to carry on. And he carried on his path. But obviously then, we start moving in different paths. Yeah. And it was him, in the end, it got to such a point. Like he was even thinking like that I might be having an affair, which I wasn't. But in a way I kind of was, but with alcohol, because I'd be going out, drinking, without him. It was like this whole sort of other element of life.
Of course. It's almost like a separate relationship that you've got away from him.
Yeah.
KUPOD is Oldham's only professional podcast production company. Last year, we helped local businesses and charities share the full impact of their stories and reach new audiences across Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube and more. Our fully equipped studio is available to hire to take your video and audio podcast to the next level, and our team is on hand to help with everything you need to create your very own show. If you're in North Manchester and want to talk to the passionate podcast professionals, visit kupod.co.uk. KUPOD. Be sound.
When he asked you to stop drinking, how did that make you feel? Because that's got to be a real, pardon the pun, like sobering moment.
Yeah, like my heart's going now just even thinking about it. Yeah, it was awful. But in a way, it was kind of like a relief when he actually said it.
Really?
It was, yeah, I remember feeling like a relief. And I was, like all this emotion was coming out. And yeah, the main thing I thought was like a relief, because the relationship had got really, really damaged. And like, this is so hard to share, but like thinking about when we were thinking like, which way is this going to go?
Yeah.
Part of me was thinking, I know I need to stop drinking. Like, and I know for the relationship to really work, which is what he was saying, like, it needs to stop. But part of me was thinking, oh, but do I want the relationship, or do I actually want to choose to carry on drinking? Like we were that sort of far apart. Yeah. Obviously, then I was like, no, I don't want that. But that's sort of like how powerful.
Obviously, but if that is your initial thought, if that was your straight away go-to thought, that says a lot.
Yeah, and that shows how like powerful it can be.
Exactly.
So like my partner obviously has been really supportive, and like he's been through it himself, but also like it's really hard. I don't know if you had this, but part of me was like, oh, I'm doing it now. Like, where's my medal? Yeah. Where's my medal for doing this thing? And I've seen other people like on Instagram saying like, no one's really like acknowledging how hard this is. So I think like with this podcast as well, we can really sort of like cheer other people on, because sometimes I don't know, did you find that like you'd done it?
With me, I honestly didn't have support because I didn't know anyone else who didn't drink. So everyone thought I was weird. Like, why? You're not an alcoholic. Why are you stopping drinking? Yeah. But without like going into it with them, which I didn't want to because it's personal, it's like, so people just didn't get it. So there was no kind of support. So it was kind of just reading, researching as much as I could myself, trying to make small little milestones myself. Like I said in the earlier episode, I couldn't think of this as a lifelong thing. I had to go day by day, week by week, month by month. Otherwise, it was too overwhelming. I wasn't able to imagine it. I just think, I sod that. Like sod it, that type of thing. So that was difficult. And as I said in the last episode, there was a lot of bumps where I tried white knuckling it, fell, got back up again, tried again, and it was just a case of the pain was much more than the pleasure.
I think that's amazing, like that you were able to succeed, like going through that with like, well, no support by the sounds of it.
Yeah, I mean there were resources, there was books and stuff like that, and like stuff I could watch on YouTube, but nothing really like available like there is now.
Was there anyone like? Did you have like anyone like for accountability or anything like that?
No, there's no one. I don't think. My mum doesn't drink, but I mean she'll have one at Christmas and one on her birthday or whatever. But it's not a conscious decision not to drink. It's just like, oh no, I don't like it.
And I think if you've not been through it, if you've not been sort of in the clutches, it's really hard to understand what a big deal it is, isn't it?
So fast forward like 7 years, now there's so many more resources, but also so many other people that are willing to be open about it or talk about a struggle or be willing to have a conversation about it. So I think, like I said earlier, that's one of my motivations. If there would have been a podcast around when I was trying to stop drinking, I'd have been all over it. If there was an Instagram account, I'd have followed and I would have haunted them, like messages and use them as a resource.
Yeah.
So anything I could do now to pay that forward for someone else in my position, if I could be that person that I needed at that point, I'm more than willing to do that. And I hope I'll be able to do that with this.
Definitely. Like I've started the sober.freedom Instagram, and that was initially like a way for me to learn more and connect with other people who are going through similar experience. And this, it's really lovely. Like you can sort of hold yourself accountable in that community and like really support each other as well. Because like I say, I think I'm really early on in it, but I do feel like if people haven't lived it, it's really, really hard for them to understand. So it's just really nice to like be able to cheer each other on and listen and just speak about experiences.
Absolutely, and a good point you raised there about the lived experiences. I think it's very interesting for the partners of people who have an issue with alcohol or who want to stop drinking. Luckily, we're saying your partner had stopped, so there was more of a kind of support outside of everything else, so you probably had that like sounding board and that kind of reassurance. Am I right? Or how would you describe it?
Well, he'd like led the way, I suppose. So he'd made the changes, and I think even when he'd stopped, I didn't really understand what he was going through, because I wouldn't say his drinking, it had gradually fizzled out over time. I wouldn't say it was particularly problematic. Like he'd sort of dwindled it down, so like he'd got to that point where he could have like a couple of pints and stop.
Okay.
So his was like a gradual thing, but because I was still drinking, I didn't really fully recognise like his achievement and what he'd done, and actually some of the feelings that he was going through. So I've done it now, so I can relate, but I probably wasn't maybe as there for him as I could have been. He made it seem quite easy, but it probably wasn't. And I do, he did say at the time, like after it had happened, like there was that period of adjustment.
Yeah.
And I feel like he probably kind of just had to get on with that because I was still drinking and not really present for him at that stage.
And did you find that when he stopped drinking, we say like that moment of you have no substance to kind of numb those issues that have been since childhood, no doubt. Did you find that he was trying to unpack those, or he was kind of putting a blocker on them? Because I often think sometimes when people stop drinking and they get to that point, they can become a bit of an arsehole because they're confronting years and years and years of pushed down emotions, pushed down. So they actually, without alcohol to numb it, have to experience, have to unpack, have to relive that trauma, have to look at things from other people's perspectives, go through all those resentments again.
Yeah. Someone gave me a good analogy for that, and they were like, it's like trying to hold a beach ball underwater and it keeps like popping back up when you're trying to like hold it down. So that's how she described it. But like with him, maybe he'll be willing to come and share it, but it hasn't really presented itself in that way, with him. But I guess that's more for him if he'd want to share it. But like say, I don't like, upon reflection, like I wasn't there for him because I was just like, oh, he stopped drinking, it's fine.
Yeah.
I'm carrying on. So it's only now that I'm like, oh God, that must have been actually quite hard for him, that I can like think, well, maybe there was some stuff to unpack.
Yeah. If you're still drinking and his not drinking isn't affecting your drinking, then that's found the golden ticket here. That's great. That's great.
Yeah. And like I say, it was absolutely driving us apart. So I think we're still on the way, to finding ways to connect back up again, I suppose. And there probably is a lot of unpacking that we could do together.
Yeah. It's challenging. I know in my relationship, so my partner's not drank for 14 months, but prior to that, she's super social anyway. Like she's very, like we'll talk to anybody. I can put her in any situation and she will be completely fine.
Mm-hmm.
And it would always be a case of, okay, when I got to that point in the evening where everyone's talking broken biscuits, like, rah, 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 I'd be like, oh, babe, should we go? She's like, oh, God, why? We're just getting warmed up. And I'm thinking, I'm cooked.
Yeah.
I'm not warmed up, I'm cooked. Like, you're just starting.
Yeah.
You know? So that would always be very difficult to navigate, because I would be feeling incredibly uncomfortable for hours on end then after that, where she'd be having the best time, and I wouldn't want to. I'd say, you stay out. Mm-hmm. You continue, because I would never want to, like, my decision impact her experience. So I was happy, like, I wouldn't be like, where have you been till 2 o'clock? I'm like, stay out till 3, 4, just enjoy yourself. Yeah. But I'm not doing it with you. Like, go be with your friends type of thing. I was more than happy for that. But now that she's stopped drinking, she gets it. Yeah. She gets it. And I think there's a newfound appreciation for all those years of
definitely.
Like,
tolerance.
Oh my God, babe, why you want to go home now?
Yeah, so Si would always sort of be that person for me, like, come on, let's go. But, you know, like, I would always be pretty grateful, because I knew he'd be saying, like, come on, that, even when he would still drink a bit, but he sort of could be like, he could see that point where it's going to go from having a nice time to, like, utter chaos, debauchery, and just feeling like rough. And he'd always say, like, leave them wanting more, let's go.
But in that moment, did you get that? And did you
No,
appreciate
I wanted
that?
to stay.
Right.
But the next morning, I'd be like, oh,
yeah,
I'm
of
glad.
course, the next day.
The next day,
But
like, playing it forward. But no, of course, in the moment.
In that moment, I could sometimes see the look of, not again.
Yeah.
What, like, please, come on, let's just stay out. Why do you want to go home now? Whereas now she can appreciate it, but at the time, she definitely didn't appreciate it.
No, same. But always by the next morning, I'd be like, oh, yeah, that was such a good decision.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you know, it is good to have that support. And I think, Si was definitely a leader to the path for me. And also, like, I've been quite fortunate that I've got a few friends who, like, have gone alcohol-free recently as well. They've sort of led the way. How did you, like, have you found a way to, do you find that you connect with people, like, have a network of alcohol-free friends, or how was that?
I think my friendship circles are still, like, quite mixed now, but whereas before there was, I was the only, like, person who wasn't drinking, now there'll be a few. And it's great because they get it, so you're not going out and having that conversation of, oh, no, I'm all right. Yeah. No, I know it's only one, but no, I'm okay. It's like boring. But, like, you don't have that conversation anymore. Yeah. And I think now, because people know, they just accept it. Yeah. So I don't even get those conversations, or those questions. So it's a lot easier. It's a lot nicer going out knowing I've not got an hour of questions, and then I can relax, because people just focus on their own drinking then by that point. Yeah. So it is nice to have. Yeah, I would say actually that is a support network, whether it's intentional or not. Other people not drinking, and they're not drinking for me. They're not drinking because of their own reasons, or.
Yeah, I've seen that quite a lot actually. Like like before, like, we'd have sort of family get-togethers. Yeah. And even for me, if it was like one of the kids' birthdays, I'd be like, oh, let's get the Prosecco open. It was like a great opportunity to, like, crack it open. And obviously that then would, like, oh, well, you know, we'll share it out, and it would sort of, like, pull other people into that drinking. But some of my family don't drink much anyway. So again, they'd be, like, sort of leading that. But now I've seen that, obviously now I'm not drinking, and I've not asked them not to. I really don't, I'm not, you know, it's up to them. I don't mind. Yeah. But there's been other, like, get-togethers where they're now like, you know what, no, I'll have an alcohol-free, or I won't bother on this occasion. Not always, but that's, you know, that's really nice. Yeah, it's just a nice experience to do that.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm the eldest of 5, and actually Actually, now I think of it, there's 4 of us out of 5 that don't drink.
Oh, wow.
And it's not been, to my knowledge anyway, it's not been a big deal. I think one of my sisters just isn't that into it. One just doesn't like how it makes her feel and how it can make a change. And yeah, it's it's personal to them, but I think me not drinking maybe made it a little bit more acceptable for, not even acceptable, but kind of give them permission. Like, so, dip the toe. Yeah. So, and then my brother as well. My brother stopped drinking for a good bit and got like really healthy and really into his fitness. And he still is, but he drinks now as well. But and my dad was like looking at me like, why are you turning all these like
taking all my drinking
yeah,
friends away.
Yeah. But now it's just the norm.
Yeah.
It's absolutely just the norm. But growing up, you would think none of us would have been like that.
It's amazing, isn't it? Like, just, yeah, like you say, giving that permission or that opportunity to be like, oh, they're doing it. Maybe, maybe I can do it. Maybe, it looks pretty good. It was, I follow Sober Sassy Mum, and Terry, she's on Instagram, and she, like, it was seeing her pictures that really, like, kind of, like, influenced me, because she would put, like, the pictures of when she was drinking, of a night out, and how she felt on those. And she's gorgeous, but you could see how alcohol had, like, affected her in her appearance. And then, like, she was showing herself now, like, years sober, absolutely, like, glowing and radiant. And, like, it's really inspiring when you can see people, like, saying, like, they're living a good life and they look great.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, that was part of the thing that inspired me to be like, well, yeah, I would like a bit of that, please. Yeah. Like,
because what inspires me is when I see people who were such, like, party animals, like, who you would never think could live any other lifestyle, and they just turn it around. And I'm like, and they've still got a great life. It's like, they look like they're having the best time then, but they're just, like, look like they're having that. I'm like, come on.
Yeah.
Like, that for me is really inspiring.
Sometimes I think, like with the, like, like you said, like the extreme, like the party animal, in a way, I don't know, sometimes I think, is it easier because it's very clear cut, isn't it? Like, and it, like, I would say I was a bit of a party, a lot of a party girl, so it'd be like that extreme. So it's like that middle of the road where it's like the moderation just becomes too hard. But actually, you are a social, if you're a social person anyway, you can still go out and live that life.
Yeah.
But more authentically, because you're not getting all the drama at the end and the chaos that alcohol can bring.
Definitely more authentically, and I think the more people can become aware, like, I think like a podcast like this is going to be great for that. The more people become aware that, you don't have to stay at home and read Delia Smith's cookbook.
You can if you want.
I mean, if you want, if that's your jam, then go for it. But you don't have to become like this really boring person. It's actually more freeing. Which is it sounds bananas when you say it, but, like, how can you, like, be even more buzzing off nothing? But you are. Yeah. You are. The immediate thing I noticed when I stopped drinking was the next morning, waking up with a clear head was like someone had just give me $1,000. I was like,
every day.
Yes.
It's good, isn't it?
Yeah.
And you're not dragging yourself, like, through the day.
Yeah. Honestly, it was the best feeling ever. And it's that kind of really unusual thought of, well, this is just normal, so how can this feel amazing?
Yeah.
When it's just normal.
Yeah. That's
like,
going to
I'm not taking anything to make me feel like this.
Yeah. It's like if you could have a magic pill that helps you sleep, live authentically, have more energy.
Yeah.
And we're so many of us are just sort of, taking alcohol, and it takes all that away, doesn't it? Like,
yeah. So, like, spreading that kind of message that, living alcohol free doesn't mean you're boring. It just means there's different opportunities available to you. Living alcohol free doesn't mean, it can mean you're an alcoholic, but it doesn't necessarily always mean you're an alcoholic. It just means that in certain situations you are dependent upon alcohol, and if that becomes a problem, recognize it. Don't put it in the spare room. Recognize it, deal with it, and you will feel so much better for it in whatever capacity that is. Whether that's reaching out to a podcast like this, whether that's going and seeking professional help, whether that's an Instagram account, taking those stigmas and those myths away of what is an alcohol problem, because it's a huge spectrum, a huge continuum, and not everybody falls right at the very end.
Yeah, it's a spectrum, isn't it? And I think the more, I found, the more I spoke about it, the less the shame became, just sharing it and taking a bit of ownership and responsibility for it, takes it away a little bit. And the more, I know it can be really hard to speak to people, but I started opening up about it before I stopped, and getting different people's perspectives, and it was really helpful. And it's amazing how many will want people who you might open up to, and they might have had a lived experience themselves that you weren't even aware of. Yeah. And people are willing to, maybe not everyone, but the more people you speak to, you're going to find some who are going to give you some really helpful insight and support.
Of course. And one thing I found being at the gym, and people being aware that I don't drink, they feel more able to ask me questions about it. Usually it comes across as they're just curious and they want to know more about me and my journey, but oftentimes it transpires that, they're struggling a little bit themselves, but to ask for help professionally because of the stigma around it means they have a problem and means they're whereas if they can just ask someone who lives that lifestyle, it's less, I don't know the word, but it's kind of takes that sting out of it.
Stigma around it.
Yeah.
And I think there are people who, it's not necessarily that there is even a problem. It's some people just want a healthier life.
Yeah.
And don't want alcohol to be a part of that. So.
Yeah. And that's completely fair enough.
Something that happened to me a few years ago, quite a long time ago, alcohol has sort of been a reoccurring theme in my life. But initially when I sort of spoke out about it was nearly 10 years ago. But it was, even then, was quite black and white. Well, are you an alcoholic? Do you, and the person sort of advised, you need to be really careful before you sort of label yourself as that, because that seemed very you need to go down this route then of abstinence and like you say, maybe AA meetings. But I feel now, obviously AA is still really, really popular. I don't have any experience of that, but I've spoken to people who do, and it's been a real support. But it isn't just that now, is it? There are so many other places that you can get support from.
Yeah, definitely. And one of the things I heard on a podcast or something was someone would prefer to be labelled an alcoholic and not drink than not an alcoholic and still. So do you know what I mean? It's
made
a label.
It easier.
It's a label. Okay, well, you're not an alcoholic. Okay, but you're still drinking every day.
Yeah.
To excess.
Okay.
You can't. So whether it's a label or not, deal with the issue.
I think it's whatever works for you, isn't it? And whatever you want to call it. Doesn't really matter what other people want to call it. It's what you as an individual want to call it and work with.
Exactly. Yeah. For me now, I don't drink. That's it. I'm not labeling myself as anything. I just do me. Honestly, I just do me, and I don't really subscribe to any kind of theory or any kind of movement as such. I just navigate it in the best way that I know possible, and this is the best way is just trying to live healthily. So eat well, workout, personal development, personal inventory every evening. And I always spoke about that.
Yeah.
So every evening I will do a personal inventory of my day. And it's like, what was the good bits? What was the bad bits? Where could I improve? Was I a dick?
I love that one.
And, it's like, it's a little checklist of yourself.
Yeah.
And it's like, right, okay, well, tomorrow, don't be a dick.
I love that one so much. I know we were laughing at the do saying, oh God, because I wasn't drinking. I was like, oh no, if I am a dick, it's because I'm like an authentic dick. And it's not even because I've been drinking.
So it's me.
But I love that inventory idea. I think it's brilliant. Something that's helped me that I've started to implement, and this was following on from the GP when I went to get some support with that. What I did actually get access to was some cognitive behavioural therapy, CBT. So that was like a positive that came out of that meeting, even though they didn't really pick up on the drinking and that adjustment. Yeah, I've had that therapy, and I've implemented like a worry time every evening. So at the same time every night, I sort of write down any like niggles, concerns.
Okay.
Like make a bit of a ritual and then like rip them up at the end.
Okay, I'm glad you clarified that, because I just had you visions of you sat in the corner like.
But it's been really helpful actually.
Good.
So yeah, that was one positive that did come out of that. And I suppose like the other thing is, I suppose about this podcast is to say like obviously there are all sort of like we've covered like the different spectrums of where you are with drinking, and I think obviously we just have to say like obviously if you are like physically addicted and you do need to speak to a GP, and that's always the advice is like speak to the GP first before giving up. But
really?
I think
GP, go to AA meetings, they are all over the place, all over the place, and super supportive for people who need their help and support.
I think like finding something that works, isn't it? Finding the one that works for you. Like I spoke to someone about AA. I haven't been to any meetings, but people are so, once you start that conversation, they're so willing to help and to share the information. And I spoke to a few people, and like at that time I thought, well, I'm not sure that at this time that is for me. But I know a lot of people who it's helped so much, but it's just good to get as much like information as you can about it. Absolutely.
And I suppose like in the comments or of this podcast, we'll like list a load of resources that can help people, because there's, like I say, these people from on all ends of the spectrum that need help, and it's just making people aware that there are those resources out there. There is help and support for how little and how minor or how major and detrimental your relationship with alcohol is. There is something out there to help you. There wasn't always like that. So for us, I want to make that, like push that message for people who are sober curious or for people who are full on in the throes of it. Let's push those avenues of support. It's not always been available to people, and it's something that really needs to be highlighted.
Yeah, we're lucky that it is there.
Great. Okay, well, thank you everyone for listening. I hope that was super helpful. Any questions or anything that you would like us to discuss on the upcoming podcast, please leave a comment.
Yeah, and we can also connect on the @sober.freedom Instagram account, where hopefully we can build a lovely community, and we can all share our, specific sort of life experiences to support one another.
The Sober Freedom podcast is hosted by Christal, Dauncey and Lisa McGinnis. To leave comments, ask questions and interact with the show, follow @sober.freedom on Instagram. Please also subscribe, rate and leave comments wherever you listen to help us reach more people. The show is recorded at KUPOD Studios in Oldham and produced by me, Matt Dean, with video production from Eddie Corteen for KUPOD Productions. For more information, please visit KUPOD.co.uk.